have you ever like asked yourself, how come people who read the same Quran as you do will choose that path? Have you ever questioned, like, go back to Quran to see what?
Sure. I mean, I think, it's one of those things that whatever you read or whatever you experience, you internalize differently. And there's perspective in everything. If I sat down and read the exact same text that they did, I know I will not find anything justified in what they did. I absolutely am 100% confident in that. But at the same time, I think what it comes down to is the fact that we have this gap in understanding, and it comes down to the way in which we're educated and the way in which we approach the Quran. And there are different ways of doing that for everyone, just like there are different ways of approaching the Bible, just like there are different ways of approaching different Jewish texts, just like there are different ways of approaching the book that you read for class. And so, I mean, I think what it comes down to is the fact that people read it and they sometimes forget to A, contextualize things, B, understand the interpretation of things as done by scholars, and I think they also forget that there are people behind these kind of bodies, and they forget the stories behind individuals. And that's why I think understanding individuals is key to making sure this doesn't happen. And it's why I think I've been a little more forthright about, okay, yes, I'm Muslim, no, I don't believe in any of this, and here's why. This is my story. And I hope people of all backgrounds and all faiths, or people who don't believe in any faith, feel comfortable doing that as well, because that's how we can kind of break down these barriers, and we can do something a little more positive, I think.
So after 9/11, have you ever felt afraid, or you felt any change in your relationship with other Americans around you?
Not at all. I mean, I definitely think it's made me more aware of the fact that, there are responses that happen to actions. There are people who have had hate crimes against them, and there are people who have had things said to them. For me personally, it's never happened. And so it's never been something that I've been afraid of. And I've been so fortunate as to be very well integrated into the community, whereas I have a network of people who are Muslim and people who are not Muslim, and this is just one part of my identity. Just like for them, them not being Muslim is just one part of their identity. And I'd like to focus on the whole individual, and I'd like people to do that about me, just because that's what relationships are about. It's about understanding people. So
yeah, they know you as a full person, not just one identity.
Exactly. And even if they didn't understand Islam, I think they would be more comfortable coming up to me and asking me questions, whether they knew me really well or they knew me a little bit, because I think I've made it pretty clear that I'm not uncomfortable kind of addressing some of these difficult things, because in order to move past it and move forward, we need to address them.
I think 9/11 is one story because people felt the threat is from others, from other countries. But like the Fort Hood, the Hassan, he's American Muslim. Yeah. And then the other case, FBI, they arrested 4 people from Florida, and they are. Is it from
Virginia?
Florida? Virginia, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Virginia. And they are, surprisingly, they are from middle-class families. They are well educated, but they still chose the radical path.
Yeah.
Does that concern you?
It's definitely concerning. I mean, I think it's hard not to be concerned as an American. And then for me, it adds another dimension, because I'm concerned as a Muslim about where these people are getting their information, and where this is all coming from. Because, I mean, I know growing up in my community, this is the last thing I could have ever learned about. And I think, I mean, for these 5 guys from Virginia, I mean, this isn't coming, I think, out of their community as much as it is coming out of, they said they saw some YouTube videos and whatever. So, I mean, I think we need to be a little bit, we need to think about what these networks are, and how they're impacting kind of the nature of our community. And we need to make a more explicit effort to address these things from a young age, so people understand that this is not okay by any means. And I mean, it's really difficult to internalize how this could have happened, and I still haven't finished understanding it, because I don't think any of us have truly come to the point where we understand what was going through anyone's head when they decided to make these decisions. I struggled especially with the Major Hassan, because of the fact that he, not only was he an American, not only did he grow up here and participate in what I would consider the most vibrant community on the planet, but on top of that, he obviously went to school, and he willingly enlisted in the army. And I mean, if you're not okay with something, that's not that's not the step you take. You don't become more entrenched in it. And so I mean, to enlist in the army and to be a part of it, and then to feel resentment toward it, I think is a really big problem. And it's really, I mean, if you're struggling, it makes more sense to me to talk about it and to address it on a very explicit level. I mean, go to your supervisor and say, this is my problem, than it is to do anything passive-aggressive, or aggressive in this case, to kind of attempt to deal with the problem. And so I think I was just really heartbroken that A, that was the approach he took, and B, that no one felt the need to address it beforehand, himself or others. And on a community level, I would hope that, I mean, if someone saw warning signs, that they would do something. And I know communities all over the country have already done that. If they see something that they think is problematic, they will address it. There are communities working very closely with the FBI, with the law enforcement, with whatever, with the administration. And so, I mean, I'm glad a lot of communities are being proactive and taking that step if they do find something. But, I mean, you just need a couple to slip through the cracks, and that's what we don't want to see. And so I really hope that all communities will, start to do that. That's what I mean, I would be shocked if this would happen again, if we took a more proactive role as well, is at identifying, and not we just as Muslims, while that's important. I think we as a broader American community have to realize that regardless of who this person is, if they're Muslim, if they're not Muslim, whatever, we need to come up with a way where we feel comfortable kind of addressing these things before they happen, nipping it in the bud,